Hello everyone and welcome to another unit review, and today we are going to be looking at Eego, one of the brand new units on the Order banner that we are having during the Order raid. Now, honestly, I'm gonna both apologize and not apologize. I never picked one of this girl up, so unfortunately I am unable to really show her off, because also nobody on my friends list has her either, and it could be the fact that nobody's just pulling on this banner, everybody's been resourced out, everyone's just kind of waiting for the next big thing and is saving for Axstar, and I completely understand about that, but I'm still going to give this unit a unit review, whether or not I have her. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show her off, but as it turns out, it may not matter. So let's talk about Eego real quick while the rotating banner happens. So first of all, Eego is, well, her Trust Mastery is a 20% to MP, 40% attack when equipped with a whip. In general, not a bad materia, but the kind of thing I was hoping for was that her the true dual hand bonus that she would get off of it would be considerably good, kind of in the way that Ignacio as well as CG Sid have both gotten really good TMRs for their own weapon. And unfortunately, Eego, however you want to say her name, her materia just isn't quite as good, because it only gives an extra 25% true dual hand, and 25% is a weird place to be. Everything so far is pretty much for true dual hand attack has been 50%, 50%. Now we get one that is only 25%, and the problem here is that 25% kind of leaves you in a weird spot of you need to have another one of these equipped to get back to an even percentage. Not that you have to, but honestly, it just doesn't feel quite as good as some of the other things we have seen lately when it comes to true dual hand. And CG Ignacio is one that comes to mind, where you got 30% with an axe, a 50% limit burst fill rate, and 50% true dual hand. And that true dual hand was just in general a better, higher percentage, giving a total of 80%, where here we get 60% in a class of weapons that kind of needs a bigger boost than what it's getting. So honestly, the TMR definitely ended up being a bit disappointing. Good for her, but you kind of need two now just to get that nice even number. I suppose that's still an extra 80% attack, and you can just throw two clouds on her to get up to 300, if I remember the percentages correctly. But anyway. Super Trust Mastery wise, I will say that this unit got incredibly lucky. Super Trust Mastery got a two-handed whip. That's right, whips got two-handed weapons before some of the other weapons that are, considerably more classic and widely used. 176 attack with 50% accuracy and 1.05 to 1.5 times variance. Not the highest variance we've seen, also, but it's not terrible. It's nothing too bad. It's a very, very strong whip, and it's basically the perfect piece of equipment for her. Now, stat-wise, here's the thing. Her MP, it's not the greatest, it's not bad. Her attack is the big feature here, which is a 204 at a 7-star base attack with an extra 65 points in, puts her about the same level as Cloud, but lower than Satan. Long story short, for a true dual hand unit like this, it's a pretty nice high base attack with, extra points being able to put in. 192 defense with an extra 40 points to be put in, and Spirit 187 with an extra 40 points. All around, pretty good stats, and attack is where it kind of needs to be. Now, limit burst wise, her limit burst at a max 7-star is pretty, it's pretty strong. A one-hit physical attack at 2600% attack is a nice high percentage. It also is AoE, and it inflicts 6 random status effects to 80% on all enemies. Long story short, Eego is probably a generally good unit for anybody who's just starting in Arena and wants to use status effects to make other people's life hell. Okay, in her kit, she also has, a fair amount of boosts and passives that just help her general stats out. 20% here to HP and MP, attack, defense, magic, and spirit, 20%. So she kind of gets a level amount across the board. She also has ways to heal herself, restoring 3,000 HP to the caster, 9,000 HP split over 3 turns to the caster, and then 180 MP. So she has some pretty good ways of taking care of herself. She also has an ability that either casts death or just damage the enemy. So again, for people starting an arena, this is pretty good. Increases attack by 30% and an extra 50% when equipped with a single weapon, and that's pretty nice. Like, that's basically some, extra true dual hand in her kit. Or it's not listed as true dual hand, but I'm under the assumption that it's true dual hand because it's listed as armed with a single weapon. Also 25% accuracy. Some natural killers for demons and plants, which, hey, it's not bad. And some abilities that reduce ice, light, and dark resistance to all enemies for 3 turns, gives access to a worse thing, and, it does a 400% attack that also causes some status effects. Obviously, stat effects are just not big in boss battles, but, it does reduce elemental resistance to some of the big elements, light, dark, and ice. Okay, ice is not biggest, but anyway, moving on. Long story short, it's not bad here. Extra defense and spirits, 3 hit 4 frames attacks to all enemies, just some nice AoE attacks, regen of HP and MP per turn, extra attack of 30%. Now here's the, I'm gonna save this next ability for a little bit longer. She also has dual casting of her whips, and now we get into her 7-star, where equipping her TMR gives her an extra 50% attack and 50% attack when equipped with 8 single weapons. So in her kit, she has 100% true dual hand. So if you had 2 of hers TMR, that would give her an extra 80% attack, which she already has a fair amount of attack in her kit, naturally. That would put her at 150%, so you would still need 150% true dual hand on top because there is nothing else in her kit. And that's a little bit disappointing. But she does have an ability that is an 80% chance to ignore a fatal attack when her HP is above 30% max 1 time. Makes her a little bit more survivable if she is going to be your main attacker. So, not bad, not bad. She has 100 MP available on turn 1 on an 8-turn cooldown. Increase attack by 250% for 6 turns to the caster. Removes any debuffs on herself and gives her debuff resistance against attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 100% for 6 turns. So 6 turns is a long time, especially to have a 250% boost to all of your stats. Now, if you do get dispelled, that kind of sucks because it takes, a fair amount of turns to be able to use this ability again. That being said, 204 base attack with, so many passives and everything, getting a 250% bonus for 6 turns to her attack and removing any debuffs without having to use Dispel on herself. It's nice. It's just generally nice. Now, skipping one more ability for a minute, she has increase of MP, increase attack by 20% when equipped with a whip. So if you have her super TMR, great. More killers versus plants and demons, so they better watch out. On a 3-turn cooldown, available turn 3, cast Death at 30% or deal an 8-hit physical attack at 1600% to all enemies. Physical damage 700% attack per turn to all enemies for 3 turns. So it hits super strong. It causes extra damage for the next 3 turns, but it also has a chance of just causing death. Honestly, I said it before and I'll say it again. This unit is fantastic in Arena. Sure, you have to wait 3 turns, but if the fight is just becoming a little bit sticky and annoying, having that 30% chance to just cause death or just beat the hell out of your enemies, AoE, not bad. Not bad. She does have a couple of she does have a random ability which has the ability to reduce ice, light, and darkness by 100% for resistance for all turns, but it only has a 10% chance of happening. And 10% chance is just not that great. Her other two abilities at 40 and 50% are basically physical damage versus one enemy and potentially debuff the enemy at 60% on the 40% chance one. Long story short, don't like this ability very much. If you are looking for the resistance debuff on AoE, the other thing is that it's only for one turn, so it's just not worth the risk mostly. 20% HP, some modifiers, and the last thing she gets is 100% status effect resistance, which kind of sucks that she's basically riding a Marlboro. It feels like that should be her level. That should be like a level 1 ability. Minor complaints. Now, the two abilities I skipped were her big chaining abilities that are 7 hits at 8 frames. If you're wondering what chaining that is, it's basically pile driver. And here's the thing. The other thing is that both of these attacks are earth elements. One's in her 6-star kit, one is in her 7-star kit. One does about 560% attack to one enemy, reduces earth resistance by 60% for 5 turns to an enemy, and increases her limit base gauge by 3 for, well, that's pretty nice. Basically builds her limit burst, which her limit burst is pretty strong, and is a generally good chaining ability in her 6-star kit. Nothing to complain about. Now, her 7-star ability is stronger version of it. 7 hit at 8 frames, physical attack, earth damage at 700% as opposed to 560% to one enemy, and reduces the earth resistance of 80% for 5 turns, but doesn't give her any limit burst. Long story short, let me just talk about this unit for a second. It's nice that she has an ability to reduce ice, light, and dark resistance by anywhere from 60 to 100%. However, all of these elements are her off elements, and elements she won't be using because her chaining is basically earth. This is both her greatest strength and greatest weakness. I have no doubt in my mind that this girl is incredibly strong, and given the fact that she can give herself a 250% attack boost, it's kind of nice that she can block a fatal attack. Basically can keep that buff active for, potentially for, a little while longer. The other thing is that this is just Eileen's bestest friend, Everest. She is so perfect for Eileen. And that brings me to the end statement here. Is this unit any good? The answer is yes. An attacker, a high power attacker with 100% ailment resistance is just nice to have. It's just nice. The fact that she can debuff enemies for resistance and is really good in arena is great. She has a very strong chaining partner in Eileen. But her kit is limited to the earth element. So if a boss has ever earth elemental resistance of more than 100%, you're going to have a tough time with this. So, and the other thing is that to get the most out of her, you basically need her super TMR, and there isn't another option. If you do get her super TMR, great. This unit is going to be incredibly powerful, and probably pretty easy to hit 2650 attack, which is super nice. But with that being said, it is for a very specific person. Not every team can make this unit work. This unit basically is made to be Eileen's best friend. So if you're the biggest Eileen fan in the world, this is the unit you've been waiting for. If you've been looking for a way to get Eileen potentially very strongly back into the meta, this is nice. That 7-star 80% debuff to Earth also just helps out considerably and is a very strong form of chaining. But again, you basically have to have 7-star Eileen with her own TMR, and you need enough true dual hand to equip both of them. So while I generally really like Eego for both the look of her unit as well as the general elements of her kit, she is a very specific unit for a very specific team. So that's all for now. Hopefully in the future I can do a bit of a showcase on her. I would really love to see somebody put out a video of this girl, because I feel like the order banner is a banner where we've just had too many good banners to pull on lately, and a lot of people are just tapped on resources. So a lot of people are passing this by and not really giving it a second look, and I think it's cool. I think the units on this are super cool. Of course, I still have yet to talk about this girl. Let me tell you, this is the real prize of this banner. So I'll see you all in the next video. Aki will be next.